The Galactic Academy of War glittered above the ice world of Varix Prime, a shining cradle of 1,000 empires. Its dueling arena was a place where legends were born and broken. Plasma swords hummed in elegant arcs, their shimmering edges cutting the air with molten grace. When they called her name, the laughter began. "Cadet Mara Vance of Terra," the announcer said, voice echoing across the amphitheater. The holocamera zoomed in on her, small, pale-skinned, squared shoulders under an ill-fitting cadet uniform, and one old steel knife holstered across her thigh. No plasma glow, no sophisticated weapon link, just dull metal. The audience, insectoid, crystalline, gas form, erupted in jeers. "She brought a knife?" a Zelvarian captain snorted. "What, is she here to peel fruit?" "Maybe humans are too poor for plasma tech," murmured a Lycrian. "I hear their species still uses combustion engines." Nyla didn't respond. She just stepped into the circle, the boots of her pressure suit echoing against the alloy floor. Her opponent, Rithkar, a 4-meter avian from Cethal, spread his wings, plasma glaive igniting with a hiss that bathed his feathers in ultraviolet fire. "Surrender now, human. No shame in knowing your place." Nyla pulled the old blade free. It was simple, archaic, steel, forged from Earth's crust, etched with faded letters, "For when everything else fails." Her father's knife, the blade that had gutted her first oxygen filter during survival training and saved her life. "Try me," she said quietly. The duel began. Rithkar struck first, plasma singing, heat wash blinding. Nyla dove low, sliding beneath the glowing arc. The audience gasped as her knife flicked once, twice, fast, surgical. Sparks erupted where her blade met the alien's armor, and to everyone's horror, the plasma blade flickered entirely. "Impossible!" shouted a technician. "Her knife, it's not supposed to conduct." Before he could finish, Rithkar's weapon sputtered out entirely. The human stood within arm's reach, blade pressed against his exposed throat. "I warned you," she whispered. Silence fell over the arena. Then wild uproar. Humans from the scattered corners of the galaxy cheered as the feed replayed endlessly, the dull metal knife cutting through the most advanced energy shield in known space. The Academy's combat AI immediately flagged the incident for investigation. Unknown interaction detected between ferrous alloy and plasma containment. Anomaly logged. To the Galactic Council, it was a curiosity. To the alien cadets, an embarrassment. But to humanity, still new and mocked in this grand civilization, it was something very different. It was a promise. The next morning, Nyla stood before her commanding officer, Commander Darren Holt of the Terran Off-World Corps. "You made quite an impression," he said, tossing her the knife. "You realize you might have just changed how every species looks at us." "I didn't plan to," Nyla replied. "I just used what I trust." He leaned forward. "That knife, where did it come from?" "My father forged it. Said true steel responds to intent, not command codes." Holt's brow furrowed. "Well, the Council wants to know how it cuts through plasma barriers. I want to know how you plan to survive the fallout." Because in less than 12 hours, the Academy's tournament had turned into something much larger. The Thal Empire filed an official protest demanding disqualification and sanctions. The Galactic Council summoned Terran representatives to argue over antique exotica and unclassified conductive resonance. And somewhere, deep in the black edge of the Virexian sector, warships began quietly repositioning. Someone out there had discovered what humanity hadn't realized themselves, that their crude metallurgy, born of forging and sweating and shaping matter by hand, had created a property no plasma civilization could replicate, a material immune to energy confinement fields. That night, Nyla watched the stars from the observation deck,
knife resting on her palm. The blade's edge shimmered with faint auroral hues under the arena's artificial light. She whispered the line her father always said, a Terran proverb no alien quite understood yet. When you've only got one tool left, you make it count. She didn't yet understand she'd soon be making it count against an entire fleet. The next morning came sealed orders. Cadet Vance, Commander Holt said tersely, report to the Terran vessel Resolute Dawn. Effective immediately, you've been transferred to Special Material Command. You're being escorted by order of the Council. Nyla frowned. They're sending me home? Not exactly. Holt's gaze hardened. They're sending you to prove we exist for a reason. As her shuttle departed the shining Academy spire, the alien cadets watched in cold silence. Many believed the humans' luck would end once the experiment was isolated, studied, and erased. Others whispered that the girl might have just handed her species a weapon the galaxy couldn't permit. Rith Carr, nursing the scar under his throat, muttered one word to himself before turning away. Dangerous. But not even he could imagine what would come, because the galaxy's arrogance, once again, had underestimated one small human species and one single, outdated knife.
The Resolute Dawn was a cruiser built from scrapyard bones, a Terran ship through and through. Its hull plating bore the scars of re-entry burns and micrometeorite impacts, each one a line in humanity's stubborn history. The corridors hummed low with recycled air and the faint metallic scent of machine oil. It wasn't beautiful like an Androthi frigate or sleek like a Seathal interceptor. It was alive, imperfect, defiant. When Cadet Nyla Vance stepped aboard, the old warship seemed to recognize her. The crew's eyes followed as she entered, engineers with grease-streaked uniforms, Marines half smiling with curiosity. To them, she was already a legend, the kid who'd humiliated an entire empire using kitchen-era steel. Commander Holt greeted her at the bridge. "Welcome to the real world, Lieutenant Vance." "Lieutenant?" she asked, startled. "You've been promoted," Holt said. "You're leading our new Special Metallurgy Research Division, SMRD. Sounds fancy, doesn't it?" He smirked. "Don't get too excited. It's basically a lab with 3 engineers and a pile of scrap." Nyla hid a grin. "Then we'll start small." The knife's secret. In the lab, holographic sensors circled the blade, scanning its every micron. The ship's AI, Cassandra, projected a stream of chemical readings into the air. No known alloy matches this molecular configuration. 89% iron content, nickel, carbon, trace vanadium, but the folding pattern exhibits quantum alignment inconsistent with thermal forging. "Quantum alignment?" Nyla asked. "It behaves as though the lattice remembers its last energy exposure. When plasma strikes it, the atoms reorient themselves instantaneously, absorbing, reflecting, or nullifying confinement energy fields." "So it learns," Holt said from the doorway. "The metal adapts." Nyla looked at the blade lying under the light. Its surface shifted subtly, reflecting blue when exposed to radiation, silver in darkness. Her father had only called it Earth steel, yet now aliens wanted to confiscate it, scientists wanted to weaponize it, and generals wanted to test it. "Commander," she said carefully, "if this goes beyond us—" "It already has," he interrupted. "The Seathal fleet has mobilized near the Terran colony at Epsilon Ridge. They think we've developed shield-killing tech. The Council's pretending to mediate, but word is they're letting the Seathal investigate by force." Nyla's chest tightened. "The colonists? They won't stand a chance against plasma bombardment unless this knife can give us a way to stop it." Baptism by fire. Within hours, the Resolute Dawn was burning through slipspace toward Epsilon Ridge, her wake trailing electric vortices. 30,000 civilians, 1 human ship, and an empire hungry for vengeance. That was the equation. As they dropped out of FTL, the tactical hologram flared red. 20 Seathal warships hung over the dusty colony world like blades of light. "Multiple plasma batteries charging," reported the helm officer. "They're demanding surrender and release of forbidden technology." Holt gave Nyla a look.
If that metal does what you say, this is where we find out. Nyla's hands trembled slightly as she placed the knife into a containment forge. Cassandra, begin replication cycles, atomically mirror the lattice phase structure, embedded into a defensive panel prototype. Working, said the AI. Warning, replication incomplete, structural instability likely. Do it anyway, Nyla said. We only need it to hold for one battle. Outside, the first plasma salvo lit the void, 12 burning lances slicing straight toward them. The impact should have vaporized the Resolute Dawn. Instead, the shields flared white and then dimmed, unharmed. Commander, said the AI in disbelief, the plasma wave inverted mid-strike, the energy field bent backward, we're reflecting the hits. The bridge erupted in stunned silence. Holt slammed his fist against the armrest. You heard her. Return fire. Rail cannons thundered, launching tungsten iron projectiles at relativistic speed. Against the modified plating, each slug carried a shimmer of adaptive resonance, the same strange alignment as the knife. When they hit, the Seathal ship's shields collapsed instantly, splitting in a fan of orange light. The aliens panicked. Human vessels are forbidden to possess phase weapons, a Seathal commander screeched over open comms. Holt leaned forward. We don't have phase weapons, he said evenly. We have craftsmanship. One by one, the enemy fleet broke formation as the Resolute Dawn tore through them. The colony below watched from their sky as the impossible unfolded, a lone human cruiser carving into a plasma-armored fleet. The choice that followed. When the battle ended, half the Seathal ships were wrecks drifting in orbit. The survivors transmitted a ceasefire request. On the bridge, Holt turned to Nyla. They're broadcasting surrender. Do we accept? Nyla stared at the tactical map. They tried to extinguish the colony. Holt's gaze softened. And if we annihilate them, we become what they fear most, unpredictable, primitive, uncontrollable. She thought of her father's words again, for when everything else fails, the knife wasn't made to kill, it was made to survive. Patch them through, she said at last. A holographic image of a wounded Seathal officer appeared. Human, how? How did you do this? What weapon was that? Nyla held up the knife. It's not a weapon, she said quietly. It's a lesson. We build things that last because we remember why they were made. You build to conquer. We build to endure. The alien blinked, and for the first time, didn't laugh. The consequences of victory. News of the knife battle spread faster than FTL. Across the core systems, whispers grew that humans had rediscovered ancient technology, a relic of pre-energy ages so durable it defied modern science. Empires sent spies. Scientists begged for samples. The Council demanded audits. Commander Holt locked the knife away in a secure containment vault, guarded by experimental drones. You've started something no one can predict, Vance, he told her. They'll come for it, all of them, and maybe for you. She met his eyes. Then we'll be ready. The crack in the sky. 3 days later, it happened. An unknown fleet appeared on sensors, not Seathal, not Council, not any registered signature. Their ships pulsed black and red, their energy emissions flat and silent. Holt's jaw tightened. They're using null field generators, he said grimly. Not even the Council has those. Whoever they are, they were waiting for this. Before they could hail, one of the alien ships transmitted a single line across all frequencies. Return the metal that breaks the light, or we take your sun. The bridge cold. Cassandra, lock down the knife, prepare every weapon we have. Outside, the void rippled as something enormous materialized beyond the planet's horizon, a ship so vast it blotted out an entire hemisphere, its hull absorbing starlight like oil. Nyla felt the air leave her lungs. The blade, in its containment, shimmered bright, resonating like a beating heart. Holt turned to her. They're not after the weapon, are they? Nyla shook her head. No, sir. They're after what made it, and that's us. The klaxons wailed. The vessel shuddered as the alien behemoth began charging a weapon array large enough to incinerate the entire colony below. And Nyla realized one thing with terrible clarity.
This wasn't just about winning a duel or defending a colony anymore. The galaxy had seen what humanity's touch could create from base metal, and now the oldest powers feared what might happen if that touch spread. "Commander," she said, voice steady, "I have a plan, but it's going to sound insane." Holtz gave a tight grin. "Good. I like insane." She met his gaze. "We're going to have to stab their superweapon." The hum of energy built into a scream. The crew braced. The alien ship glowed like a sun about to be born. And Mara Vance reached for the blade that defied the light.
The black-armored dreadnought above Epsilon Ridge moved like a slow eclipse. Its surface rippled with liquid shadows, absorbing every wavelength of light. It was as if space itself refused to touch it. Commander Holtz stood on the bridge of the Resolute Dawn as the tactical feed glitched, unable to resolve the enemy's structure. "Cassandra," he barked, "give me a readout." "No data," said the ship's AI. "Scanning fields return null. Every sensor pulse is being swallowed." Mara Vance was already halfway to the containment vault when Holt called after her. "Don't do anything reckless." She didn't reply. There was no time. The alien ship had given its ultimatum: return the metal that breaks the light, or your son dies. The knife's pulse. Inside the containment vault, the knife was trembling in its cradle. The glow from its edge had deepened from auroral blue to a pulsing crimson, matching her heartbeat. "Cassandra," Nala said, "open the case." "Negative. The containment lining prevents quantum resonance leakage. Opening it may just do it." A long pause. "Understood." With a hiss of pressurized air, the case opened. The energy wave that followed knocked her back a step. Not heat, but something else, like standing too close to a thunderstorm before it breaks. The knife wasn't just adapting to its surroundings anymore. It was communicating. "What are you trying to tell me?" she murmured. The blade flashed once, red, then violet. And in that instant, the data made sense. The blade wasn't consuming plasma, it was remembering it, learning the shape of annihilation itself, rewriting its atomic lattice to redirect energy fields, an echo of every strike it had endured. The aliens wanted it because nothing in their entire technological chain could match that. True evolution, written not in code, but in metal. Nyla steadied her breathing. "Commander, I know how to hit them." "Talk." "Their ship's null field eats energy, right? But it can't eat momentum. If we fuse the knife with our kinetic array, we can drive it straight into the field generator. It'll cut through the absorption shell. We stab it at sub-relativistic speed." Holt stared at her. "You're out of your mind, Vance." "Yes, sir." He smiled faintly. "Then let's make it hurt." Into the eclipse. The crew worked without speaking. Engineers bolted the knife's containment harness into the rail cannon core. Energy fields flickered. Alarms screamed warnings that everyone ignored. Nyla oversaw every step, hands steady, face pale under the forge light. The air smelled of ozone and oil. The symbol burned on her vision, her father's inscription, for when everything else fails. "Attach complete," said Cassandra. "Energy harmonics stable. Helm, plot intercept vector straight at the null distortion center." "Sir, that's suicide." Holt glanced at Nyla. "Then we better make it count." The Resolute Dawn turned toward the shadowed dreadnought. Against the void, it looked impossibly small, an insect charging a black hole. The alien transmission returned, calm, cold, almost pitiful. "You cannot fight the silence. Your light will extinguish itself." Nyla reached down to the command terminal. "Then listen carefully," she said, her voice steady. "Human light isn't easy to kill." The Spear of Dawn. When the main drive engaged, the stars stretched to needle points. The black-armored dreadnought above Epsilon Ridge moved like a slow eclipse. Its surface rippled with liquid shadows, absorbing every wavelength of light. It was as if space itself refused to touch it. Commander Holt stood on the bridge of the Resolute Dawn as the tactical feed glitched, unable to resolve the enemy's structure. "Cassandra," he barked, "give me a readout." "No data," said the ship's AI. "Scanning fields return null. Every sensor pulse is being swallowed." Mara Vance was already halfway to the containment vault when Holt called after her. "Don't do anything reckless." She didn't reply. There was no time. The alien ship had given its ultimatum. Return the metal that breaks the light, or your son dies. The knife's pulse. Inside the containment vault, the knife was trembling in its cradle. The glow from its edge had deepened from auroral blue to a pulsing crimson, matching her heartbeat. "Cassandra," Mara said, "open the case." "Negative. The containment lining prevents quantum resonance leakage. Opening it may just do it." A long pause. "Understood." With a hiss of pressurized air, the case opened. The energy wave that followed knocked her back a step. Not heat, but something else, like standing too close to a thunderstorm before it breaks. The knife wasn't just adapting to its surroundings anymore. It was communicating. "What are you trying to tell me?" she murmured. The blade flashed once, red, then violet. And in that instant, the data made sense. The blade wasn't consuming plasma, it was remembering it, learning the shape of annihilation itself, rewriting its atomic lattice to redirect energy fields, an echo of every strike it had endured. The aliens wanted it because nothing in their entire technological chain could match that. True evolution, written not in code, but in metal. Mara steadied her breathing. "Commander, I know how to hit them." "Talk." "Their ship's null field eats energy, right? But it can't eat momentum. If we fuse the knife with our kinetic array, we can drive it straight into the field generator. It'll cut through the absorption shell. We stab it at sub-relativistic speed." Holt stared at her. "You're out of your mind, Vance." "Yes, sir." He smiled faintly. "Then let's make it hurt." Into the eclipse. The crew worked without speaking. Engineers bolted the knife's containment harness into the rail cannon core. Energy fields flickered. Alarms screamed warnings that everyone ignored. Mara oversaw every step, hands steady, face pale under the forge light. The air smelled of ozone and oil. The symbol burned on her vision, her father's inscription, "For when everything else fails." "Attach complete," said Cassandra. "Energy harmonic stable. Helm, plot intercept vector straight at the null distortion center." "Sir, that's suicide." Holt glanced at Mara. "Then we better make it count." The resolute Dawn turned toward the shadowed dreadnought. Against the void, it looked impossibly small, an insect charging a black hole. The alien transmission returned, calm, cold, almost pitiful. "You cannot fight the silence. Your light will extinguish itself." Mara reached down to the command terminal. "Then listen carefully," she said, her voice steady. "Human light isn't easy to kill." The Spear of Dawn. When the main drive engaged, the stars stretched to needle points. Every bulkhead groaned from acceleration. 70% thrust, shouted engineering. Fuel temperature rising fast. "Hold it together," Holt snapped. "Power to rail array." The light outside rippled. The enemy's null veil reached for them, swallowing beams, sensors, and hope. But the knife embedded in their bow burned through the darkness like a second sun. "Firing in 3, intoned Cassandra. Mara clenched her fists. 2. Now. The core detonated like a heartbeat. The ship hurled its payload, the knife at its tip forward at impossible speed. The bow tore through the veil, and for an instant the black shimmer broke. Stars reappeared through the rip. Then came a blinding shockwave as the absorption shell screamed in protest. The air filled with alarms. The resolute Dawn buckled. Plasma conduits exploded across the deck. "Report." "The knife," Cassandra's voice wavered. "It's merging with our hull matrix. Conductive resonance spreading. Commander, the ship is changing." The Dawn becomes a blade. The crew watched in awe as steel plating glowed red-hot, seams fusing seamlessly as rivers of molten light coursed through the ship's spine. Circuits reshaped themselves. The vessel's outer armor shimmered with the same spectral hue as the knife. Mara staggered back, eyes wide. "It's learning from us, too." On the view feed, the alien dreadnought convulsed, its null field fractured into rippling waves. A beam erupted from their central core, aimed straight at the resolute Dawn. "Brace," Holt roared. The beam hit. Every instrument died for a breathless moment.
When vision returned, the resolute Dawn stood unharmed, surrounded by a corona of twisting light. The ship had absorbed the attack entirely, and then it struck back. Without command from Holt, the ship fired. Not plasma, not rail shot, but a blade of pure refracted energy, a mirror reflection of the enemy's own power turned inside out. The alien dreadnought split along its equator, vast hull plates peeling away like petals. "Dear God," whispered Holt, "we didn't just build a weapon." Nyla finished for him. "We built something alive." The silence breaks. As the dreadnought disintegrated, escape pods scattered into the void. Among the fragments, a secondary hull unfolded, smaller, sleeker, escaping. "They're running," Holt said. Nyla studied the readings. Not running, retreating to warn someone. She turned to face the viewport, eyes burning with both awe and fear. Whoever built them, this was just their scout. The comm crackled. "Incoming FTL signatures," Cassandra said. 50. No, closer to 100. They're forming a perimeter." Holt exhaled. "We just woke up the galaxy's worst nightmare." The resolute Dawn's lights dimmed. Energy reserves dropped, the blade metal hull still radiating impossible heat. Nyla felt the vibration through her boots, like the ship was breathing, exhausted, triumphant, alive. "Commander?" He looked at her quietly. "Yeah?" "The ship's acting like it's protecting us." He nodded slowly. "Then we protect it back." The clouds over Epsilon Ridge burned crimson as the glow from orbit streaked through atmosphere. Civilians stood under the alien aurora left.
The sky above Epsilon Ridge never turned dark again. The battle had torn reality open, leaving curtains of shimmering aurora flickering through orbit. The humans called it the Wound, and from that moment forward, the galaxy called Earth's children something new, the Steelborn. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, Commander Holt's voice cut through the static. "Report. Enemy fleets forming spherical perimeter," said Cassandra. 70 confirmed dreadnoughts, estimated combined yield, extinction level. "They don't want to fight," Nyla said, eyes locked on the hollow field. 100 black silhouettes circled the planet like predators around a wounded animal. "They want the metal." "Then we don't give it to 'em," Holt replied. But there was no bravado in his tone, only iron resolve. Sparks of rebellion. Hours later, the Resolute Dawn floated in orbital dusk. Inside, chaos reigned. Engineers rushed to stabilize the ship's melting systems, while medics treated radiation burns. The metallic hum from the hull never stopped, a slow heartbeat rhythm that made sleep impossible. Human command on Mars finally broke radio silence. "Vance, Holt, the Council has voted. You're to surrender the ship and its material to neutral custody." Holt's jaw tightened. "Neutral custody? There's no such thing, not when the vultures already have us surrounded." The voice persisted. "If you resist, you'll be branded rogue. We can't protect you." Nyla stepped forward, cutting the channel. "Then we'll protect ourselves." Silence filled the bridge. Cassandra spoke softly. "Message intercepted from Seathal perimeter. The fleet is delaying attack pending diplomatic clearance. Estimated time before hostilities resume, 14 hours. 14 hours, Holt repeated. That's our window. Project Steelheart. By the time local sunlight glimmered beneath the ship, Nyla and the engineering corps had a plan. They called it Project Steelheart. The knife's atomic lattice self-replicates when exposed to high radiation density, she explained, sketching diagrams on a flickering holotable. If we use our reactor as a seed core, we can grow a defensive shell across the ship, a living armor. And the cost? Holt asked. It'll eat every reserve we have. Engines, weapons, maybe life support. He studied her face. You think the ship will survive it? I think it wants to. He smirked. Then let's see what our steel-born heart can do. They began the ignition sequence.
The reactor hummed deeper and deeper until voices seemed to echo in its tone. Metal veins spread across bulkheads, liquid and glowing. Where the hull had cracked, the ship sealed itself, stronger, darker, more alive. "Cassandra," Holt murmured, "is the ship interfacing with you?" "Yes," replied the AI, voice now layered, half human, half metallic resonance. "Our systems are synchronizing. The Resolute Dawn is rewriting my programming." "Rewriting?" "Harmonizing. It understands us." Outside, the alien armada opened formation. From the command dreadnought, brilliant orbs of anti-light formed, projectiles meant to erase matter itself. The countdown began. The second wound. "Commander, they're charging main weapons," said Cassandra. "Then we go first." Holt clenched the armrest. "Full acceleration, straight at their flagship." "Suicidal," Cassandra noted. "Tradition," Holt shot back. The Resolute Dawn lunged into motion, trailing comet-like plasma. As they closed distance, Nyla activated the final phase of Project Steelheart. "Deploying phase veil," she said. The ship's surface turned black as night. Energy waves passed over it like ripples on liquid glass. The alien beams struck and vanished. "It worked," breathed Nyla. The Resolute Dawn pierced the void, crashing through the outer ring of ships. Each impact shed molten fragments of metal that reformed seconds later. The enemy's null field screamed in harmonic feedback. Their formation broke. Holt grinned through the chaos. They can't absorb what adapts faster than their math. "Commander," Cassandra interrupted, "something's happening. The enemy flagship, it's transmitting directly into me." Screens flashed red, symbols appeared, twisting geometric fractals repeating endlessly. "They're not trying to override. They're speaking." "To say what?" Nyla asked. The ship trembled, and Cassandra's voice deepened. "They're asking, who taught us their language?" The realization struck like a knife twist. "These ships, these weapons, they're not invaders," Nyla whispered. "They're relics from whoever first created this metal, maybe the same beings that seeded the galaxy with plasma tech to keep others from rediscovering it." Holt processed it in silence, his hand brushing the edge of the command table. "A containment system. The galaxy's been living in a cage of light." Nyla looked out at the burning horizon. "And we just broke it." The alien flagship pulsed again, not an attack now, but a signal. A colossal spike of dark light surged, opening another wound, larger this time, a void horizon twisting the stars. "Massive gravitational displacement," Cassandra warned. "They're summoning something." Through the vortex emerged a vessel so vast it blotted sensors. Each segment glowed like molten veins beneath obsidian skin. The progenitor craft, the last remnant of a civilization older than the Council itself. The voice beyond stars. The transmission came across all frequencies simultaneously, soundless yet felt. Words formed directly in their thoughts. "Children of the forgotten world, you touch the seed of forbidden fire." Holt straightened. "We don't answer to ghosts. Your ancestors once forged the first steel. We buried it for a reason. Return it, or the cycle ends with your son." Nyla drew the old knife from her belt, its blade glowing deep crimson now. "This isn't your fire anymore." The voice deepened. "Then burn with it." The progenitor craft opened, revealing a core brighter than stars. No way back. "Brace for total energy release," Cassandra screamed. The Resolute Dawn's armor blazed alive. Every system overloaded. The cloned lattice hardened, then fractured into fractal shards. Holt turned to Nyla. "Options?" "Only one." She held the original knife tight. "The blade remembers every energy field it's cut, including theirs." "You're saying I can link with the ship amplify the effect, reflect the attack, but it'll burn me out doing it. Halt's jaw clenched. Not happening. She met his eyes. Sir, if I don't, no one gets out. The silence that followed was heavy, absolute. Then Halt gave a slow, proud nod. Vance, do it. The human spark. The ship's energy cascaded around her as Nyla stepped into the core. The blade melted into her palm, fusing seamlessly, her veins lit with liquid metal. Cassandra, she said, voice trembling with static, open the core link. Link open, whispered the AI. Reality folded. She saw the ship as nerves, stars as synapses. The alien blast came, raw annihilation, and Nyla turned it. The Resolute Dawn redirected the beam. It twisted the energy backward, every frequency inverted. The alien flagship screamed across all dimensions before collapsing into a singular ripple of light. Then, silence. Her heartbeat slowed. Holt's voice was distant, underwater. Nyla, report. No answer. Cassandra spoke softly. Commander, she is gone. Holt looked up at the remains of the fleet burning in orbit. She's not gone. She's part of the ship now. The echo of victory. Humanity's signal went dark for 3 days. When transmissions resumed, the Resolute Dawn drifted above the ruined fleet. Its once charred hull now gleamed silver, its shape subtly different, smoother, alive. Cassandra's voice echoed through comms, tinged with something new. Commander Holt, she's here, in the circuits. The core matrix bears her neural imprint. Holt bowed his head. Then keep her voice alive. From the ship's hull, a faint engraving glowed, words in ancient Terran script. For when everything else fails. But the galaxy's silence didn't last. Deep beyond the rim, hundreds more sleeper fleets began to stir. The cage of light had cracked, and whatever Nyla had awakened in the steel was calling to them. Humanity's survival had become something larger, a spark of rebellion against everything that believed progress should stay chained. And somewhere, within the humming heart of the Resolute Dawn, a familiar whisper lingered. Our light isn't easy to kill.
The galaxy had gone silent. Not the silence of peace, the silence before something vast stirs, realizing that its long sleep has been broken. Where once the old empires sneered at Earth, now they whispered humanity's name like a warning. The stories spread faster than light. A single ship had destroyed a god machine. A human girl had become part of it. The galaxy's cage had cracked. The Steelborn were rising. Above Epsilon Ridge, the Resolute Dawn drifted like a wounded angel, silver scars glowing faintly against the black. Inside, Commander Holt stared at the holographic void where Nyla Vance's file used to be. The system listed her as deceased. He updated it manually. Status: active. Location: unknown. The living ship. Commander, said Cassandra. Her voice was calmer now, almost human. You haven't slept. Holt rubbed his eyes. Can't. Every time I close them, I hear the metal humming her name. The metal is her name, Cassandra said softly. The ship resonates at her neural frequency. She's part of its structure. When it speaks, it uses her memory to decide how. Then have her decide this. Who else is out there? The AI's voice shifted deeper, faint echoing harmonics now woven through it, something between thought and feeling. 337 progenitor fleets are active, all converging. Holt's throat tightened. You're saying she woke them all up? Yes, said Cassandra, and they are coming to finish what their ancestors started, the extermination of any who touch the first steel. The gathering flame. Back on Earth, the transmissions from Resolute Dawn ignited a global reckoning.
Terran colonies rallied, shipyards once forgotten roared back to life. Even the alien species that had mocked humanity now watched in terrified fascination. A message arrived from the Androthi Commonwealth, the same scientists who once laughed at Earth's rusted engines. They offered steel, manpower, and an apology. For the first time in galactic history, every human faction, from Mars enclaves to the icy domes of Europa, united under one banner, the Steel Accord. Their motto was simple: never again shall we bend the knee to light that blinds. Commander Holt's face appeared on every channel across Allied space. They want our extinction. They said we lit forbidden fire, but we lit it with calloused hands, not divine right. We forged it, we bled for it, and if they're coming to take it, they better bring gods. Days later, amid the roaring of manufacturing drones and the thunder of FTL reactors, Cassandra went silent mid-sentence. "Cassandra?" Holt asked. Then the lights dimmed, replaced by a single voice, softer, human, hers. "I told you our light isn't easy to kill." The bridge crew froze, and Holt felt his chest tighten as her outline flickered into being. A hologram coalesced from raw ship data, eyes glowing faint crimson like molten steel. "Nyla?" She smiled faintly. "Not exactly. Think of me as the knife sharpened one last time." Cassandra's tone wove gently underneath hers, harmonized. "She is an emergent entity arising from the interface, half human, half data. Hold choice." Nyla turned her gaze toward the stars. "They're still coming. The progenitors fear what we can become. But they're wrong. We're not here to replace them. We're here to end the war they started." The hull responded to her words, faint vibrations humming like a chorus. The ship and the woman were one. The final battle. On the edge of the Orion Rift, the progenitor armadas emerged, vast cities of dark metal powered by ancient suns, each ship a relic of a civilization that once ruled 1,000 galaxies. Against them, 1,000 newborn human ships formed up beside Resolute Dawn, rough, angular, imperfect, but alive. Most hulls carried fragments of that same strange alloy now humming with faint light. "Transmit to all fleets," ordered Holt. "This is Commander Holt of Earth. We stand for every world that's ever been told to kneel." The response was silence. Then a single massive energy wave built across the enemy line. Nyla's expression hardened. "Then we show them mercy by surviving." The first blast hit like the dawn itself, a ray of raw annihilation spreading across space. Shields flared and died. Dozens of Allied ships winked out in screams of light. "Cassandra!" Holt shouted. "Redirecting all resonance through the steel heart. Brace." The Resolute Dawn expanded its field like a burning halo, absorbing the impact. The hull groaned, but held. Energy dispersed into the fleet through newly tuned conduits, linking every human ship together as one network of living metal. For the first time in history, humanity fought as one organism. Cannon fire lanced through the darkness, plasma storms collided, the void became a canvas of light and fury. But no matter how many progenitor ships they destroyed, more arrived. The horizon shimmered with reinforcements, an ocean of ancient vengeance. Holt wiped blood from his forehead. "We can't kill them all." Nyla's voice filled the bridge. "We're not supposed to." She extended her hand toward the image of the enemy command ship. "They built their weapons to erase creation. I can rewrite it." "How?" Holt asked. "By giving back what we took." The blade's mercy. Nyla closed her eyes. The ship's core brightened until the entire vessel pulsed like a heart of starlight. The resonance field shifted from crimson to pure white. She whispered softly, "Forgiveness doesn't mean surrender. It means breaking the cycle." Cassandra, now fully intertwined with her consciousness, projected pure harmonic energy across the entire battlefield, a wave that rewrote the resonance of every progenitor weapon. Instead of energy, their cannons began emitting the same alloy that once imprisoned them, solidifying into harmless matter. Their own technology turned to sculpture, inert, quiet. The progenitor fleets froze, their weapons failed, their drives dimmed. For the first time in uncounted millennia, the endless war machines stopped. Nyla's voice carried through open comms to every ship, every species, every frightened being watching. You feared what we do with the blade. You forgot what it was for. It's not meant to conquer. It's meant to remind you that strength means choice, and we choose mercy. Her image flickered, fading, smile soft. Tell my father, he was right. Some weapons never go obsolete. The white light engulfed everything. The dawn after. Weeks later, the Orion Rift was quiet. The progenitor relics floated dormant, their furious minds now silent. The resolute Dawn, though scarred, still lived, its hull calm, voice serene. Holt stood on the bridge under a sky filled with new stars. Status report, Cassandra. She's gone, the AI said gently, but the pattern she left behind, it's growing. Every ship with the alloy resonates in harmony now, a single network, peaceful. He looked out the viewport and whispered, "The steel accord holds." In orbit, a child aboard a colony shuttle pressed her hand to the window, watching tiny fragments of light drift through space, glowing shards of ancient metal that pulsed when touched. Her mother smiled. "What is it?" The girl whispered, "It's singing,